किसके पास जाएं? पूरा सिस्टम कोलैप्स है।
सब लॉकडाउन बड़े-बड़े पैसे वाले के लिए, हम लोगों के लिए नहीं है।
At the moment we need medical support, oxygen support. हम उन बंदों को भी लॉस कर रहे हैं जिनको हम सर्वाइव कर सकते थे।
In the middle of the deadly second wave of COVID-19, the Modi government faced criticism for slow progress in setting up oxygen plants funded by PM CARES, an acronym for the Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situations Fund. PM CARES was created apparently with the sole objective of tackling the COVID pandemic. This was announced just 2 days after the imposition of the harshest ever nationwide lockdown that saw millions migrate from cities to rural areas.
बोल रहे हैं कि ये लॉकडाउन का जिस तरह जनता समर्थन किया, वहाँ जो नरेंद्र मोदी नीतीश कुमार का रहा है कि मैं करोड़ों करोड़ रुपया दे दिया, किसी गरीब को एक वक्त का खाना यहाँ नहीं मिला।
The fund's trust allocated substantial amounts of money for the installation of 162 medical oxygen generation plants. But nearly a year later, only a fraction of the proposed oxygen plants were operational when the second wave of COVID struck in April 2021. This wave worsened oxygen shortages in hospitals across the country. Millions literally gasped for breath due to the lack of oxygen and ventilators. Hundreds of thousands of people died. Although the exact numbers of people who died have not been declared by the Modi government. The PMO refused to disclose information on PM CARES under the RTI Act. The fund is not transparent. It does not disclose allocations for specific purposes like aiding migrant workers.
The very name, a Prime Minister's Fund, makes people think this is government authority. So by saying it is not open to RTI, you are running away from the spirit of transparency you claim to be wedded to.
PM CARES is exempt from audit by the CAG. Private auditors have instead been appointed by the trustees of PM CARES. The fund was established without approval of the Union Cabinet. Its formation was facilitated by an ordinance. It is not clear whether the fund is private or public. The fund was initially described as a private trust. The Modi government later said that it is, quote, owned by and controlled by and established by the government of India, close quotes. This led to a lot of confusion over the legal status of the fund and the applicability of transparency laws. Legal inquiries into the status of the fund were stonewalled, while a court petition raised questions about the use of the national emblem on the fund. The fund was exempt from the provisions of the FCRA. Contributions to the fund were exempt from payment of income tax.
On the subject of finance, the most opaque, dark fund in the world. It is called the Prime Minister's Couldn't Care Less Fund. Oh, I said the name wrong.
The Ministry of Corporate Affairs retrospectively amended the Companies Act, allowing donations to the fund to be classified as corporate social responsibility or CSR obligations of corporate entities. The PM CARES Fund was established despite the existence of the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, also called the PMNRF, which was established to provide all kinds of aid, including medical aid, for victims of natural and man-made disasters.
अपने अपने जवाब में आप ये नहीं बता पाए कि प्रधानमंत्री केयर्स स्थापन करने से क्या आपको नया फायदा मिल रहा है जो आपको प्रधानमंत्री नेशनल रिलीफ फंड में नहीं मिला।
The PM NRF already had a corpus of 3,800 crore rupees at the time the PM Cares Fund was launched. Another fund, the National Disaster Response Fund or NDRF, established under the Disaster Management Act, was also in existence when the PM Cares Fund came into being. The Modi government argued that the NDRF is publicly funded and does not accept private donations, and that the PM Cares Fund has a targeted objective for dealing with those affected by the COVID pandemic. 15 years ago, the Indian government had laid down a policy that it would not accept foreign aid for disaster relief. On this occasion, however, the PM Cares Fund received donations from, among others, Russian armaments maker Rosoboron Export and Chinese companies such as TikTok, Xiaomi, Huawei and OnePlus. Donations from Chinese companies came at a time when there were tensions between India and China in eastern Ladakh. Celebrities like Akshay Kumar, Deepika Padukone, Ranveer Singh and Shah Rukh Khan contributed to the PM Cares Fund. Private companies and entities that contributed to the fund include Larsen & Toubro, Infosys Foundation, Adani Foundation, Reliance Industries, the Hero Group, Tata Trusts, Paytm, Azim Premji Foundation. Public sector undertakings and government departments too made significant contributions to the fund. The ONGC, the IRCTC, the AAI, HAL, OIL, Power Finance Corporation, the Power Grid Corporation of India, NTPC and CIL. 38 PSUs contributed 2,105 crore rupees from their CSR budgets for 2019-20 and 2020-21. Later, 101 PSUs transferred 2,400 crore rupees from their CSR funds and 155 crore rupees from staff salaries. Salaries of employees of various public sector banks, financial regulators and government-funded educational institutions were also deducted for making donations to the fund. India's armed forces contributed over 200 crore rupees. The Indian Navy contributed 12.41 crore from the salaries of its officers and sailors, 4.36 crore from civilian personnel. The Indian Air Force contributed nearly 30 crore rupees and the Indian Army reportedly donated over 150 crore rupees, although it denied providing information in the public domain. The PM Cares Fund reportedly received donations of around 3,000 crore rupees in the first 5 days after it was formed. By the end of May 2020, it had raised over 10,600 crore rupees. However, the total amount contributed to the PM Cares Fund remains undisclosed. Was the Modi government successful in achieving the stated objective of the fund? The quality of the ventilators procured through the PM Cares Fund was criticized by government committees and hospitals across the country. There were several instances of ventilators being left unused or loaned for use for the treatment of diseases with low rates of fatality due to doubts about their reliability. The Supreme Court of India rejected petitions seeking the transfer of money from the PM Cares Fund to the National Disaster Response Fund and refused to order an independent audit of the PM Cares Fund. Now you answer the question. Does the Prime Minister of India care?